Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
How are you, Mr. Bassi? How do you do?
I'm great. And you?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so very much. You're doing well.
Okay.
Thanks.
My colleagues will join
No
shortly.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thanks. Hold on a bit.
Right. Works.
All right, Mr. Amos. Morning, sir.
Good morning, all. Good morning. Good morning, sirs.
Yes. Yeah, apologies for the delay.
No, not at all. How are you, sirs?
Yeah, great. Thanks
Right,
very much.
Thank you.
I just wanted my
You.
colleagues to
Excellent.
join.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you so very much. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we might need to do a bit of introduction.
All right then.
I don't know. Yes. So hold on a bit. Okay, on the I have myself, I have my colleagues on the line, and I have my group CEO too on this line. Are you there?
Yeah, very well, sir. Great.
Okay.
That's right.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, all.
Good morning, Mr. Amos.
Oh, good morning, sirs. How are you, sir?
Fine.
Right. Thank you so very much. My name is Amos Emmanuel. I run Programos Software, and I think it's quite a privilege to speak this morning. So I will be this morning sharing with you the features of our application called CloudIntegra. Yeah, I think first and foremost, the Integra software is not a new application in the market, and we've been there, and we're happy. We've been doing for more than 2 decades right now. So quite a good privilege, I must say, again, speaking with Cedros. So you permit me to, I think I'll just go first. I want to just share the application, and I would like to share directly from the application from perhaps a test environment, and I'll be able to share some of the features as it will pertain to internal operations of the capital market processes and all the necessary features. And perhaps much later on, I will look at what is the perception from the investor side of what you do internally vis-a-vis what you offer by way of service. So first, let me just relate with a screen share on a test environment connection. Just 1 minute, please. Right. Okay. If you can have my screen now.
Yes, please.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so very much. Perhaps maybe along the way, as I'm on, perhaps a member of internal support in here may also join, but let me just go straight down. So first and foremost, the application actually has a base of administration. And what that does is simply the entire activity and task management within the processes of what organizations do internally. And we share the admin module, perhaps with IT personnel of the house. And what this does is that they are actually responsible for managing the entire security profiling, activity management based on what HR, the new staff has been engaged, what's his work role, what is his responsibilities on the application and all of that. All this is managed internally. And we actually operate a granular security system in the sense that you actually own your security designs, you implement your roles and task management and definitions. And this can be applied to what each of the activities and people who actually on this task in the house can possibly do. And we have that under this list of items again here on my left-hand side, where we see the possible people who can actually have access to you, yourself in terms of internal staff, as well the investors, your customers who also have rights to access their portfolios and whatever happens by way of their account management with you and all that. So we have the client user, we also have the internal staff operations users. And all the tasks in the application and the roles here is actually where most of those things are created and of course defined. So when the roles are defined, particularly what we have, what we call.
Sorry, Mr. Amos.
Yes, please, sir.
Okay, sorry. I just want to introduce Group CEO. He's in the
Yeah.
house. So let me just introduce him. He's your project owner. So, I mean, it's all joining us is a privilege. So we want to introduce him to you before you proceed.
Okay, thank you
So
very
we
much.
have in the house Mr. Olubusayo Adeniyi, sir. So he's part of us here.
Olubusayo Adeniyi. Olubusayo Adeniyi. That's rings a bell, but then, wow, yes. I think that rings a bell. Thank you so very much. Mr. Busayo Adeniyi. Oh, Chief, my Chief, sir. How are you, sir?
Mr.
I'm humbled. Thank you so much. I'm humbled. Oh, you're even on the road. Oh, so sorry. So sorry for dragging you into this. So sorry for dragging you into this. Oh dear. Good morning, sir. Thank you so very much. Very well. So thank you so very much. How we do? We're doing great. We thank God, sir.
Are you still on the shore of Nigeria, or you're outside of the shore?
We are obviously within Nigeria. We've been in Nigeria. Nobody can travel now. As much as we do before. We thank God, sir. We thank God so much. I'm sorry for dragging you. Sorry for dragging you from traffic into this. But then that's the convenience of it.
So, having you here.
Thank you so very much. I will be able to
quite a long time.
Pretty long time. We're still very honorable here for you all. Thank you so very much, Mr. Sam, for making this happen. And of course, all of you. Thank you. Right. So, but then we hope we're probably not too mobile and doing this. So, but then let's continue. Thank you so very much. Thank you, sirs. So I'll just continue. Thank you. Let me just continue, sir. All right, there. Thanks. Oh, merci beaucoup. Thank you, sir. Right. So I'll just get back to where I was trying to describe. The risk of the market later in capital market became a big issue, and that was because the issue of trust became relative. Who do we trust? What do I trust? And all of this became an issue, and it was now becoming very important that we reduce risk to something that should be very common to even the youngest person in the organization. And that's why it makes it very easy that we should be able to manage our tasks, our activities, and we are not to be afraid of anything, because going to the cloud, a whole lot of fears, a lot of things were entertained, whether some things will be possible and all of that. But then with the level of security management concept that we've deployed, it made it very readily, very easy for you to manage every task, and of course its attendant risk, as it were. So the way this goes is that in the organization, you would have actually set up the appropriate roles according to how each department, how each group of people or persons actually are to operate. These roles can be identified by management, defined, and of course the administrator can have this role set up. And the next will be that having set up and defined this role, who are supposed to be on that role. So that is a different thing. Because you have also given an approval of which officer should be on what role and task, it is very easy for you to say that after I have perhaps defined what I call, say, compliance, or defined what I can say accountant, the next you do is you can now allocate these tasks to whoever in the house is needing that set of privilege. And as an example here, for instance, we may want to see that if you have a role like accountant, you can actually look at the entire list of things that are available on the application and make sure that, because accounting is actually something relating to people in the accounts department. So what I want them to be able to do must be tasks and of course roles that should be focusing on activities of that unit. So I can come in here, I'll see my bond equity. Perhaps that means that if they go to bond equity unit is actually the operation of the entire stockbroking activity, almost everything start to finish. But then we also have the admin. Will the accounts department also be an administrator? If that is going to be, I can check this and check this and check all the things that matter there. And once I'm done, I submit. But then if it is not going to be, I uncheck and make sure that nothing goes in there. And by the time I'm giving this role to somebody, that person will be able to behave in the manner for which I have actually defined my role settings here. Now, because this is accounts role, the name says accounts. So it's very important that this GL ledger will become very, very important. I must give to such persons who must be able to come into this role. And more to it, further down the general ledger here, once I'm done with that, I need to submit. That is, I'm trying to define a role. Once I define the role, these people that I'm going to attach to this activity, to this role, the personnel I'm going to attach to this role will be able to go to the module that I've so defined. But as you look at it, general ledger is more or less like a compound front desk, or rather, do I say the entry point activity name. So whereas in front of it, you have task group, there are several other tasks underneath it. So I can go in further to further blow up that unit so they can share with me what are all the things inside the general ledger. So all the things that are within the general ledger, I can see all of them. I have the NASD client financial, I have the GL operations, I have the general ledger, I have manual, I have the things like GL admin, client financials, and other reports. So if there are a set of things here that I don't want to belong to this role I'm defining, it's just for me not to check them. But if I want them to be party to it, like I want perhaps all of them now to be party to this definition, I need to check everything there so that everybody whom I'm giving this role will be able to have access to all these tasks and so to say. So when I'm done, I say submit. Now, if there is any task level here or activity level here that has other sub-operations, like I'm sure client financials has sub-operations, in front of it, you are going to also see tasks, meaning that there are more things underneath this activity level called client financials. So I can further drill down. If I click on it, it will further open up all the possible elements of activity that I can have under that client financials. So I have inter-account transfers, things moving from equity to NSD accounts or vice versa, customer cash deposit, credit notes, opening balance, withdrawal, posting, inter-account transfer, debit note, all these accounting activities. So all the ones that matter, I check all of them. And once I'm done, I say submit. So you realize that the security as to what task, what anybody can do is open and depending on your internal decisions as to what you think anybody should be able to have by way of his operational role in the organization. So following that, we probably now want to say we want to begin to allocate to people. So that's where we have what we call entity role mapping. Now, the entity role mapping now will enable us look at the personnel framework. Who is this officer? What role is he supposed to be on? This is where the administrator is actually using it to now begin to apportion roles to people whose responsibilities have been so defined most of the time by the organization, say from the HR, IT, HR relationship and things like that. And of course, they can come up here, pick an officer by perhaps just clicking the officer, say this person. And once I'm done, I come here, I call up the accountant, and I'll say add. Once I click on add, the officer I'm adding this role to will automatically have received a notification that I've been given like a tonic and a privilege that contains certain set of rules. That email is automatically sent to you. It does not matter where you're reporting to, especially today of the virtual world. Like most of the time, we don't even know where our customers are anymore. You can imagine. You know, in fact, I can't remember the last time I visited PIPC in Jos. We can't even travel, we can't even go anywhere. But then all our clients in Kano, all our clients say in Abuja, or Kaduna, for instance, like the Express portfolio case, they are just virtually there, but your communication is intact because you all work as if you are all under one roof. So this is just the new world and the way this is also going. So this actually leverages on all of this to make sure that we take advantage of the cloud environment and we're able to perfect and of course optimize our controls. So in the admin area, not to waste too much time in it, is basically for managing risks. Provisions for risk are also there, but for us, for instance, we want a face behind the risk. Some organizations love to take a lot of risks, but that is not to say that because we take a lot of risk, we should not manage how these risks are created. And of course, we actually have to put a face behind any level of risk. Like for instance, something here that we call something like the credit limit in stockbroking. Stockbroking today, you obviously cannot fund an account or rather do transactions in an account that is not funded. But then if you have to do an account, if you have to do business in an account that is not funded, that is a lot of risk. What we are saying is that because so many houses want to do such a thing, most of the time this may be stemming from the decision of an MD of the house. But we are saying is that whoever has to do this has to put his has to put his face behind the risk he's trying to take. Because once you allocate a credit limit of even 500,000 naira, for instance, to a customer, what you are saying is that this man has nil account or even in negative, you are wanting him to do business up to the tune of 500,000 naira, even without him applying for a loan. So these are the level of risk we are saying that even though they are to happen and internally is approved, there must be physical faces and of course responsibilities for taking that decision. So all this in the admin, you can find that. Then in the general ledger module, as you can see, the admin actually gives us actually explores the entire application. Because when you're talking about risk, if you don't work in your company and you don't have a task to play, you can never have access to any item of task in that organization. But because we can actually explore it and begin to allocate and define things and allocate to who work with us, that level of risk is highly managed. So like if we pick the general ledger, for instance, the general ledger is a whole diet of activities on a daily basis for the accounts department. But one thing we can just we can just assure the accounts department is that some certain activities are no longer called jobs. Certain activities have been taken over by artificial intelligence emulated solutions or systems that have almost presented, that will almost present the solutions, the journals, the records in our window, so that all we do in the accounts department may just be to validate what has happened within the day, have them vouched, and of course have them reconciled properly, and we can now have them authorized into general ledger. So there are certain activities that are actually not requiring that we have to repeat any task again in the accounts department, except those ideas, those transactions that you are actually, that's created by you, and those ideas and those transactions, of course, those things are having, in the end, accounting implication, and you can freely raise your journals as an accountant that you are. So in the accounts department, we maintain all those activities of the old concept that, oh, there has to be a lead in the accounts department. There will be superior, or there will be account officers in the accounts department. And of course, in the authorization area, in the admin area, you are free to calibrate these officers based on their responsibility according to who comes into the GL and what the person can do. It's very easy. An accounts officer, for instance, may be able to do perhaps everything under what we call GL operations, but may not do so many things under what we call the GL admin, because the GL admin is usually solely reserved for someone who is like the head of that unit. Because things can happen. The head of accounts has to know what has happened within the day. He has the right to authorize it. So end of day, all my financials, these are his responsibilities. You are involved. You must be the one to produce the trial balance. Because you did not raise the journals or all the journals, so to speak, does not mean that you cannot speak for what is there. And that is why it takes the responsibility of the head of the unit to do certain levels of authorizations, except if he or she so wishes to delegate them. So, and that also has so many of those tasks in there. And the general operations are those things that your normal daily journals for most of the time, an accounts officer is just good enough to just handle all those areas. And the client financials, any activity that will impact on an investor's account must happen under the client financials. That is to say that your client's control can never take a value, even a dime, without coming through a subsidiary ledger. So that's why this model is available. You can drop their deposits, you can drop their credit notes, particularly when approved, their credit notes, their debit notes, can do inter-account transfers, withdrawals. And of course, even when you are withdrawing, the system respects the fact that you cannot withdraw a balance that is not in the system unless approved by a credit limit that is backed by a risk taker. So now, if I call up, for instance, I want to pay somebody and I call up a customer here and I say Samuel, if I have any Samuel, okay? If I say a Samuel and I perhaps pick a Samuel, and at this point, in terms of your biometrics, you can actually view the images, the signature, all the identities that you may have captured for every account. This must have been done, and this can be usable at any time. I'm in a car, I'm doing this. I can view any identity and any documentation based on any customer just on the flip of doing this. Because as of this point, the photo is available, the signature will be available, his identity is available, utility bills available. And if time is spent to ensure that you do this, not what I see in some places, you just want to do it with a lot of speed when you have thousands of records. But most of the time, your biometrics could have been in error, because we see instances when youth corpus are used for this assignment, and in the end, the effect would be that they were after, snapping and of course, scanning images very quickly, and in the end, in terms of documenting and managing this data, they have a lot of mix-ups. You can perhaps call a Samuel here that we expect to have a male, and we are seeing a female picture and things like that. So this is the kind of caution, and that is why even under the administration area and the risk area, who should manage images are also things put under unique controls. So I can, for instance, go ahead with the transaction of this person and put an amount, decide the mode of paying, the date, perhaps the bank or the cash book that is to fund this withdrawal and all that. And once I'm done, I submit. And even at this point, if I need to say that this payment was to be done by way of transfer to the customer's account, and all payment data like bank account details of all customers has also been updated in the customer's profile and maintenance area, the accountant can actually may want to take a view. You can click on to show bank, but right now it says that customer bank information not found. If his bank detail was found, this can even be the point that the accountant can actually try to query this information, and they can actually find some useful information to making sure that the withdrawal posted here facilitates the accounts department if an eventual transfer of the such money to the customer's account. Because today stockbroking is so seamless, even in terms of payment, that we're going to see some other forms of payment features that we've also adopted. And of course, under the reports for the GL, so many varieties of reports are available, daily reports, things you need on a weekly basis, things you need as an archiving after your years have closed and things like that, and your financial reports start to finish. And of course, things that will give you what has been done in the present day. If anybody has worked from any other departments that had accounting implication, the accounts department will be able to put what we call the today's audit report. The today's audit report will contain all the things posted by any officer in the house, and you have a totaling, and somebody somewhere, like perhaps the internal audit, can always vouch all these things and get the lead of the accounts to have these things authorized as regularly as they do. And that's the accounts department, because it's actually the foundation of the entire solution. Now, the bond equity covers every task of stockbroking start to finish. Luckily today, the advancements in stockbroking has made so many things to also be to be very fast. And we've taken advantage of that speed. There's so many things are no longer manual anymore. Like I said, certain things that were tagged as jobs are no longer jobs today. So many things, because a market, today is a new business day. Market is opened, activities are actually happening right now. And by the time market closes by 2:30, I do not see the element of work by virtue of the operations day, the daily activity of the operation. I do not see this activity of today leaving us with any other new task to do after 2:30 when the market closes, because there's nothing to be done anymore. But one thing is very important. We will need to ascertain the accuracy of what has been done, even though it was done by the machine. Instances may arise that, okay, fine, trades of today has happened. There could be one or two things that may have happened that your bank may not align. And it is important, the bank, the accounts department, who actually is like the control of the operations department of the company, will be able to know that if this bank does not agree by 10 kobo, then it means that 10 kobo is the problem of at least one investor's account. And it won't be nice for us to keep that problem of day one, day two, we're building, day three, we are building, or perhaps we are not even checking. And some people wait till end of year when they want to do their financial year closures, and they're having a long, tough time trying to reconcile for so long before they can have their financial year closed. In some places, they never even venture and they leave it to just rest that way, thinking the auditors will come and do the magic. And most of the time, the auditors will come, perfect the documentation, and the management will never believe in the documentation that comes out of the audit. And that simply means that we simply postpone the evil day. So tomorrow, we're beginning to adjust our stock position, our customer balances, our GL this, our GL that, for which if you were doing this internally, you perhaps would have actually helped the auditors. The auditors didn't have to come in here and spend so much time, but most of the time, they have come in to start accountancy service before they even start their audit at all, which is actually not the best, and they will never, ever offer any good service better than you in accountancy service before audit. And this actually been some of the experience that we also share. And the system has intercepts, has cautionary, and of course, surveillance messages that the system in itself will be raising risk messages to the organization for you to be aware of, that there are issues for you to attend to, where this level of risk are entertained. Okay, I think in mentioning that, I want to share something here that we have some messages here that are just meant for perhaps the internal compliance sometimes, who may want to know, have information of what has happened today in terms of the trades that your organization has gone through today. Today's birthdays, all customers' birthdays, whose birthdays are due, say today, by 5 a.m., the solution would have sent a message, a greetings to all such investors whose birthdays are due today. And it does this by 5 a.m. when sometimes some of us are still sleeping. So these are some of the side and social things that the system does, and it doesn't impact on your own activity. All you just need to do is make sure that the data and the records of customers are cleaned and accurate. Now, the new contacts, for instance, if people seek to open new accounts with you, we actually intercept this and we report it on the dashboard here. Then, of course, if receipts have been created today or withdrawals have been done today, and perhaps system risks may include, like for instance, you not haven't closed your financial year and you have surpassed the deadline of say 60 days that we actually set for the application. So what that simply means that it has to, kind of create certain exception reports to disturb you once in a while to let you know that may not be a good way and good thing to do. Because if you have not closed the past year, you may not be able to be good in preparing your financials for the new financial year and all that. Then, of course, take, for instance, your live trading. You are trading today. Some accounts may have been opened and they lack the portfolio IDs, which is the CSCS numbers. If such trades have happened by virtue of your house, and if that has happened, those transactions will make an attempt to come in for auto processing, but guess what? By the time they come in and they can't find the CSA, that's the portfolio IDs, they will fail. And this risk also escalates the level of risk to say that today at so time, the broker or whoever may have booked that mandate has done a trade on the floor of the exchange and the execution came in for processing. It failed because it could not find a matching CSCS number. If this does not process, like I told you, the controller of the accounts ought to have actually spotted it because your bank will not agree. So because the bank will not agree, we should know that a particular customer's account is suffering. And the solution will just be to ensure the portfolio account exists or is amended. And once that is amended, you just realize that the system has the ability to go back and reprocess that outstanding trade, provided it is within the same trade date. what we told it is that if it's beyond that trade date, please do not try it again, because perhaps the internal staff may have made an effort a day after to book or handle that thing in a manual mode. And most of the time when you are posting such a thing, you are likely going to be using a reference that is coming from the CSCS website, and the ticket reference of the CSCS website does not automatically match what is gotten from the orders management solution of the exchange. So there's always a difference. And if you're not careful, you can actually create a duplication of a transaction because of the difference in transaction identity. So this we allow within the same trade date, and that can be as automatic as it was meant to do. So more things there, particularly is the account maintenance. The account maintenance where you open your customers' records, ascertain all their records and everything. And more to it is the customer bank bank updates. Under that point, you actually implement what this new is not no longer new anymore. Now that's the direct cash settlement. As such customers are being enrolled for such activity, you have to ensure that the solution has enrolled it, because we are talking about automatic processing from end to end here. If the account is properly enrolled for direct cash settlements, and this automatic transaction is coming in to be routed and processed within the application, there is a unique treatment that is given to all direct cash settlement DCS cases, in that as the sales proceed comes in, the sales proceed would also be automatically cleared out by DCS activity, because the proceeds should not be allowed to stay in the account as a credit, because the customer may have just gotten the next alert at T+3 from CSS or the banks directly. So if this was not implemented, in the market currently, there's so much mess because this was introduced and these records may not have been properly managed. So you find instances when people have sold, customers have earned their money, their proceeds have gone to them, and the credit still sits in the subsidiary ledgers of these portfolios internally. And I'm sure so many people are doing so much to correct that, which can really take some time. And that is why some controls have to be put in place, that all such accounts have to be subjected to proper scrutiny and ensuring that the right things are done. So this is very important, that such accounts are classified accurately, so that when these auto processes happen, they are not going to be any side effects or any problems in the accounts and records of the customers in the long term. Now, other things, notifications, how you want it, account biometrics, the rate changes in terms of concessions that you may want to grant one portfolio or another, account merger. As you want to merge one account to another merger, there are certain approval levels that is required, that one person will not initiate a merger effect and have it completed. It will require an authorizing officer to do that. Then sometimes in places where we have agency-related transactions, like it's happening in so many places, just to keep the accounting right. Ours is after that, whether you have an agency or you don't have an agency, if there are, the accounting and the transaction records and the appropriate records to be updated accordingly would have been managed very accurately, and everybody has the values that are supposed to be given and all that under the accounts maintenance area. Then next active is the trade processing. There were so many options of manuals. You know, in those days, we take sources, we take our trade tickets from CSCS website. In those days, we also get it from your XGen machine. It could be in some other different formats, but we prepared what we call the A2TTP, which is the common 10-column feature. That column feature still remains till today, even after several years, over a decade. And now the 10-column feature is when you have cause to want to process a trade for whatever reason manually. That feature is still available. But otherwise, trades are done automatically, and you find them, as I'm going to show you, in some live scenarios of the day, even as we speak today. And there's actually a feature that we have here. We call it the CSCS stock alignment, because the stock positions of what we have in-house has to align with CSCS. So once in a while, we do what we call position harmonization, that CSCS can give you all positions of all your investors' accounts at a particular point, and you can actually move this record, and we automate it and make sure that in-house all your customer and portfolio records match what is in CSCS. So this is actually what that feature is used for. And it can be very good now because when you're online and now that customers are doing their trades on their own, it's good that at least their positions are correct. Otherwise, they want to sell something that they truly have and the system tells them that they don't have, or that they have and they have wrong volumes. So these are the reasons why these alignments and harmonizations are also done, and those features are available there. And then we have a risk management issue here too, where if you care to want to stop all credits into a customer account for a second level check, it depends, an internal policy. This must be activated so that once the accounts department books, say, ₦1 million this morning as a deposit into a customer account, it does not immediately hit that account. It will perhaps take another officer who can approve, perhaps after viewing the documentation surrounding the depositing and all of that. And of course, the ones that are now available is like an e-payment concept that has no risk whatsoever, that may not necessarily be subjected to a maker-checker option, and so on and so forth. Then if you run an internal proprietary trading account, there's a feature here that can use to correct your determination of capital gain or losses depending on each time that you have disinvested from such accounts, and of course, ensuring that you just keep your internal proprietary trading account in good shape and managing it properly to agree with what you run on your general ledger control. So this is all the side effects that you have that can actually kind of make sure that at least you manage some of these things a lot more correctly, because so many people have actually taken their proprietary account as company, and yet their rules, they are not the same rules. So, and the management may not be very okay. Internally, for trading, for instance, like booking mandates, an internal officer can actually book an order of the customer on behalf of the customer, or also on behalf of the broker of the house. Once they do that, the effect of this on the OMS, the orders management system, which is going to be the next area I want to go to, is that when you book a mandate from the back office as we are now, it will stay under it will be unrouted. It will be on hold in the OMS, pending when the broker, the actual trader of the house, goes there to now send it for executions, and so on and so forth. So a little bit onto the main menu back, you're going to see that beyond the GL, the bond equity, which are like the foundation of capital markets. Now, the other things are money market transactions, depending on whether you do them. And of course, whether that's in terms of treasury, whether in terms of loans and advances, and so on and so forth. And all this, obviously, they connect seamlessly with your common general ledger, provided these operations happen in the organization. More obviously here, but not on this test environment I can see here, then the fixed trading board is where I can connect here as a staff. As a staff of the company and the broker of the house, I can connect to the fixed trading board. And if I connect to the fixed trading board, that means I want to go to the market and begin to trade as a broker. This is actually what they do. Because I'm on a test environment, I can see my market is not connected. At this time, it must be green and connected because of the live market. I'll just share a few other screens where we can actually achieve this a lot more. But then maybe before I go ahead now, I want to advance into the orders management system, which is the OMS. And then I'll look at customer portal, what they do, what they can do there, what your customers can do on their own, and perhaps we'll just flow from there. But maybe I can just pause at this stage to see if we have any question. Permit me to just take any comments if we have any questions, so I can just continue.
I don't have any questions so far.
Okay.
Maybe we should continue.
All right, sir. Oh, all right, sir. So,
all right. Thanks, Amos. Thanks for the insight to your application. Yeah, one of the questions I want to ask, your last statement you made, you talk about money market, T-bill, and co. I don't know how does that run on this application.
Okay, let me start from the credits. Some clients of ours actually are a credits or loans giving organization, and they've got different loans products, which each of these loans products can be defined and configured in the application. So what it simply does is that as you give each of these loans, depending on the type of product and of course, how management has defined these products, either in terms of minimum principal, whether in terms of band of interest rates and all that, the system is able to at least manage the accounts from when they get it from their effective dates up to their maturity and of course their rollovers and all of that. So it's a complete loans management records, and they're able to render all this interest accruals on a monthly basis and all of that, rollover or terminate, and do all their repayments as it were under the loans management record. Some of them have started with very small portfolio, and the portfolios have grown into series of whatever as we speak in terms of that loans record. And at least we've been through these experiences to have advanced the project for that kind of service. Then the other is that of internal funds placements. So same way, which is the funds placements here being the treasury side, is the direct opposite of your loans. So they get placements. These placements, they're actually offering them certain rates too and all of that, and we manage their accounts from effective period from their effective dates up to also maturity, and people also retire and take their outstanding values at the end of the day. And they also have bands of products around the treasury too. And all this integrates with certain components of the general ledger in the GL that makes the accounting for whether the treasury, whether the loans, and makes it very easy and seamless, that it stands out, and the interest accrued on, say, on a daily basis also stand out and where they are being accrued to, and it makes the records a lot easier. And your trial balance on your general ledger can accommodate that business operation, as it were. And they all obviously also have statements that they can print and generate as it were. That's what the money market side of it, which is in two way of loans and treasury, what it does.
Okay, Mr. Amos. Hello, sir.
Yes, I am with you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. But in the area, the comprehensive area of accounting that's relating to, this relates just to the area of operations that's relating to customer service, capturing of customers' operations into the GL, or other aspect relating to the the asset management, the company's asset management, liabilities. That's recognizing of income and expenses. Is there a module different for that?
Now, is this asset management like the proprietary trading account that I mentioned, where I linked it with profits determinations from the cost and of course, and when we are exiting them for capital gain or losses?
The GL review you gave detailed explanation on just now relates to customer service.
Customers, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So the comprehensive GL in respect to capturing our incomes from other areas, in respect to loans, and in respect to our expenses, general expenses, personnel expenses,
right.
Bank reconciliation statements,
yeah.
Whereby will lead to preparation of management accounts. So is there another module different from this?
The general ledger module handles all activities of all the accounting function and the structures of the company. The general ledger module, just that inside the general ledger module, like I mentioned, where there's something we call the client financials. The client financials there was just what actually is the window that connects with your capital market operation and brings all the activities of your investor transactions into that structure.
Okay.
The next one is now your own internal investments say your quoted investments or unquoted investments. You see, your quoted investments are also properly mapped in a manner that your quoted investments, say, if you have you have a 500 million figure on your GL, we want to know what are the elements of the items within it, which can be set up to be equal to that. And from the point of starting off, as you disinvest or add more to the instruments that you currently hold, the system is able to determine your weighted average cost prices, weigh them with the price at which you are disinvesting, and is able to apply line by line and, of course, historical records of your gains or losses from any time that you can actually compare. And the weighted average cost price concept is what actually is being used for this. And this actually will take care of your gains or losses as well as the asset points, which of course can also be marked to market on a quarterly basis or monthly basis, what we call the mark to market, which is actually an IFRS feature.
Okay, I got you quite all right. But what I'm trying to clarify, the clarification I'm trying to get here is,
okay,
we have an asset, not current asset.
Okay.
Like our motor vehicles, building, landed properties.
Excellent.
So there should be a GL in place.
Obviously, there's even a fixed asset register module that takes care of even all those classes of assets.
Okay.
You know, there's a fixed register, and that one, you're on a monthly basis without having to wait till end of year. You do your asset depreciation on a monthly basis. That when it is end of year, you're just good. Your investment, your asset diminution in value and all of that is automatically taken care of. That your end of year, your net book value is just an arrival point before closure.
Are you still going to put us through those modules too?
Yeah, I'll talk about, I'll just note them, but then, like I told you, the fixed asset register is a component of the general ledger. It plugs into that to manage. If you buy any new asset, a motor vehicle, a land or anything, it has a place where you can actually define all these assets in terms of your various asset classes. Is it land? Is it this? Is that? Is that motor vehicle? Is that office equipment and all of that? And each of these will have depreciation rates by your accounting policy. Is that not? So this is now set up in the asset register. All you just do is a monthly run.
Okay.
It's a monthly run, and the depreciation liability, the depreciation expense are applied as at that point for every fixed asset, and that actually helps you in driving your your final account on the monthly period till the end of the year. That is for that fixed asset model.
Okay.
Then other expense, other expense is also managed in terms of the journals that the accounts departments are so free to do, because they are the ones, like I told you, though I said there are automatic journals, but sincerely, we do not take over the work of the accountant because they still have so many other journals and so many other transactions to manage from the accounts module. So it wasn't as if we are saying they were taking over totally that entire work from them.
Yeah, I understood your message. You know, it's human effort that will have to input the data relating to getting the result from all these modules, like you said earlier. I said human effort. Hello, are you there, sir?
I'm with you, please. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm with you. Can you hear me?
I said it's human effort that will still operate on this mode, on this application to get results. Like you can't wipe away human effort.
Not at all.
So what I'm trying to, the message I'm trying to pass is that are you still gonna put us through all those modules?
We can go through it. Of course, it's actually I mentioned there. We can go through that. Yes.
Okay.
You know, I shared the GL. There's a fixed asset that takes care of part of that. But under the general ledger, what we call the general ledger operations is where this discussion. That was where they are free to raise their journal. They are free to raise, and I said that activity may not necessarily have to be done by the head of accounts. It's done, say, by the accounts officers. Yes.
Okay. But the authorization is by the
head of accounting to the GL. Yes.
Okay.
And he does that by ensuring that he vets all the things that have come from different people because in the solution we have something we call the health journal file, and we have the posted journal file. The health journal file is a file that contains all new entries that are coming in from people just bringing transactions into the application. That health journal file must be viewed by the head of accounts, vets them before because he's the one to authorize. Authorization simply means move things in this temporary file into the posted journal. And only things in the posted journal is what affects your trial balance, your balance sheet, your profit and loss. Things in the health journal never impact any of the account heads yet until the accountant's intermediary work or so has been acted upon.
Okay, sorry, sir.
Yes, I'm with you.
Let me allow you to go back.
Okay.
And continue.
Okay, great. No, we'll still come back to questions anyway.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Amos.
Yes, yes, madam. Thank you. Morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, please, before we move ahead,
yes, sir.
Yeah, can you do us, or can we say a demo of your investment modules in terms of majorly money market, as in present to us from the onboarding stage
okay.
of a client?
I might just need to connect somewhere. I just need to connect. I don't have it on this test environment. Let me just connect somewhere. Some global. Okay. But then it might not be too okay. Let me see. Okay. So just trying to, let me see if I can share what this window of an active site doing those models, what they look like. You'll see that this is like a more elongated services here, which has the credits and has the treasury. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So in here, yes. Sorry, this actually, I just need to connect to this, but I might not be doing a live thing per se. But then this has a model for the credit where the things you find in here will allow you to do, okay, you have what is called the credit classification, like I told you. All those credits you can actually define. You can actually define your credit products. So that is the starting point, because the system will rest on that definition of the credit products. Okay, like I have something called payroll loan 1, payroll loan 2. I have something called just short loan. So the definition in terms of minimum principal, maximum days, interest rate band. Sorry if this can shift. Interest rate band, and what is the lower interest I can possibly give to an item, or what is the upper one that I can give to an item. So you can actually, do some of all that. Then the next is onboarding the customer. The customer maintenance is that you also creating the records of the loan applicants and all that. The next is booking, what we call, there's something we call the credit booking. You do a credit booking after you've gotten approval to issue the loan. So the starting point is the credit booking. From the credit booking is when you now begin to create the deals of having disbursed the loans. You have fresh loans. You also have like what we call additional. A fresh loan is to say that perhaps you had an approval for say 5 million, but I'm releasing just 2.5 at the initial tranche. So by the time I'm booking the first one, I'll do my 2.5, and that will be done as a fresh deal. But maybe a week or two at a time, I now want to add the additional principal figures. You can now do what we call the additional, because the additional must be referring to an existing deal of the sitting 2.5 that we are doing. So the account opening, the customer biometric, the selective monthly interest process, let me see, credit reversal, but then this is just as it is in the credit admin. More of the credit financials is where we do the credit booking. Now, the credit booking information is just the loan, the application dates, now the type of course, loan that is available and all that. And by the time you're adding a credit booking, by the time you pick the customer and all of that, you indicate the amount that was approved for his loan. This amount approved does not mean that you are disbursing yet. It creates a credit record. Based on that credit record, you can advance his payments over time, many times, or perhaps in one time and all that. The amount, the interest, and of course, the interest that is applicable, the tenor, and perhaps the purpose of the loan. So I don't know whether so that's the initial stage. Then subsequent to that, you can now have your fresh disbursement. Now, the fresh disbursement says that if I call up the customer, I've just created a credit booking now, a record will be available. Say, James, if I have any, James, I'm just trying to say something here. So if I have any credit booking and I can search any credit booking available for this person, if I pop up here, I can see as many credit items of opportunities or advances that's available for this account. Like this one has one for 90 days, this one has another one for 180 days, and so on. So I can now pick whichever one to do to advance the loan that the company is actually giving out, and these are all the necessary terms to detain and all that to that person. So at the end of the day, okay, I did a fresh disbursement here. So if you do the fresh disbursement for the 2.5 and you now have cost to advance more, you'll be doing the additional to perhaps balance him either the 2.5 at a go or maybe 2 million next, and lastly another 500. But what happens is that that deal number and whatever advance that you are giving to him will mature at the same maturity date that was specified at the beginning. It's just that the terms by which the principal was released was not the same as that was approved. And his account will be fair enough to determine the interest charges on him based on how he has been getting the principal, obviously. So, of course, when he's doing his repayments, you are free and able to indicate what elements is it repaying, the principal element, the interest element, so that the system will be able to know how to log and book this back and all of that. So that's just this is just the kind of activity. And of course, the man can also have some withdrawal. Also, we can also have debit notes, can also have some other forms of items that goes in there. And of course, a whole lot of reports. You can get monthly report statements by deal, by whatever, okay, say by all deals, and perhaps I say that person, James, for instance. And perhaps from, okay, let me refresh okay, I said all deals, so it may not really matter which of them, and I can just say perhaps any time in past and all that, and I submit. And of course, I can get like, you know, a historical listing of things. Now, the interests are dropped on a daily basis. No, sorry, the interests are applied on a daily basis, but are dropped by end of month. Okay, so we might end up having something like this, being principal this, being that, and all that, and all that. I don't know whether this suffices for an explanation briefly. Hello? Hello?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay, I don't know whether that suffices for the bit of what happens in the loans area. That's Madam Modupe.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, so, and of course, we see the treasury is almost like the opposite of that too, in a life environment and all that. But then I wanted to, okay, yeah, so I wanted to react to one of them. When you said bank reconciliation, we really do not have an internal bank reconciliation solution in our application. we don't have a bank reconciliation solution in our application. And that's why, particularly for stockbroking, what we have devised that make your reconciliation of your daily trading nets easier is just like what I've just shared with you. That makes it very easy that for you to be able to know whether your trade for the day balances out. Because if it is, we introduce an account we call the integral operations account in the application. That account on a daily basis must be nil. If there is a day that that account is not nil, means that there may be a problem between the accounts as well as between the accounts and the okay, there may be a problem that's actually affecting at least one customer by the value of the difference spotted by the accounts department. But if the accounts department has posted their daily nets and it's equal to the total put together, it does not matter whether you did 1,000 transactions in a day or 500 or what have you, there will always be a net figure, which was what the bank was impacted on. So if what the accounts found in the bank matches that, it means for that day you are good to go. And that's about the only reconciliation thing that you need to do. But where this is not done and it leaves that we perhaps just leave them over a period of time for so long, that's why I said it could actually lead to some reconciliation issues relating to stockbroking, trading, bank account. Every other one and your bank or cash book can be managed by any other bank reconciliation solutions that we have friends that are very good in that form. Now, I wanted to just attempt a customer idea of what does your investor, what's an idea of what an investor can do. So, I will log out of this and try to access this training and portal and say, okay, like I have an account, I'm also an investor. I'm also an investor somewhere, and I can share with you what an investor can see. Right. Life up to us at this point, any investor that has an account with a stockbroking firm can be onboarded onto the solution so that he or she can have access to his account. And some of the things you can do, how the person does this is that every investor must have a unique portfolio ID. So that unique portfolio ID is what is the identity, what we use to identify the investor. Let's note that if an investor may have more than one account with you. So each of these accounts will have unique portfolio IDs. So the customer can actually access any of his accounts with you, as well as allocate a valid password for his access. So in this case, I have an access that I connect to MBC4, and as a client, with my password, I can actually have access to my account. Now, when I have access to my account, I'll share with you what is offered. Or what do I have? I should be able to see first my account balance. My trading balance is about 1,000 naira 485. That's the trading balance. If I want to buy anything now, I can only buy anything within this region of credits. I cannot buy 1 kobo higher than the credit I have. So that's why there is actually no risk in you letting your investors do this from their comfort. You know, they should be able to do this from their comfort. And now on the new thing we are giving to our clients from next month now, which if I run from the test environment, what we'll see is that this account now, if I need to fund, like I don't have money and I need like some money to fund, and I need to fund this account myself, I will be able to fund this account because next to what I have, the trader line here, is something that can allow me, I can click, that will take me to a payment gateway that will allow me to make my payments, and I can continue with my transaction unimpeded. Now, from this point, when I say what do I have? My transactions, I can see all my statements, my deposits, my withdrawals, my purchases, my sales. In fact, as a special service, there's something we are offering by way of, moving averages of my portfolio that can immediately let me know what I can hold or suggest to me what I can. This is now is direct service to the client right from his account portfolio. So my portfolio directly, or I'm leaving my portfolio, I want to look at the entire market. So this is growing services of advisory that the customers can enjoy. And if we still have the records of share certificates of customers are still able to see all their historical share certificates that either are the registrar, that were verified, that were irregular, they came back retrieved, and of course, as whatever it is, or perhaps they were retrieved from the organization, or historical certificates that may have been with you for ages, that you have database records for. So these records are there in their windows, and they can always make reference to them. So, and from here, this customer can go straight to the live market. And because I'm actually relating to a live trading house, I can see here that this house is connected to the exchange, and I can do transactions automatically. Like here, for instance, if I say on the trades here, there is nothing happening here because I've not done any transaction this morning, for instance. But then, because I know I have about 1,000 something, I can just do transaction of about 500 naira here. Assuming I say FBNH, and I want just do something worth 500 naira out of my little token of 1,000 something, and it's just a trial anyway. But then I want to do this because it's my personal account. So, and if I submit this in no time, sometimes in split seconds, this transaction is as good as executed. But then what is the risk? It is my account. I was granted the access, and I can do this, and any customer anywhere can do this. Now, for doing that, I already noticed that I have one order already today. The order has already been executed. The order has been executed. And for doing this, all your accounting is intact. There is no human intervention. That's why I was saying that by 2:30, there is really no work again for any other person to do unless your own assigned tasks for perhaps marketing, for preparation for the next day, and so on and so forth. But as it relates to what is happening to today, the business of the day opened, and the business of the day will close at 2:30. All tasks of journalization, all tasks of notification to customers. I'm sure if I go to my mailbox right now, I should have a message letting me know already. I can share with you that I already have my notification sharing my contract notes information and everything with me. Let me confirm this. Yes. Now, first is that here, this is my purchase contract note. It's already in my account, telling me what I just did. I just acquired or bought something worth this, and what was it? It is okay, because that deal I did was done in 2 tranches. That's the first one, and this is the second. But I saw there were 2 trades there, so and I've been advised. So, and to that house, the accounting for today for this task is already in the accounts department, awaiting the head of IT's evaluation, or rather validation and authorization at the time best for the units. And whether I'm also using our mobile facility, the same thing will happen, because later on from my mobile, I can also do the same task. Okay. The mobile and the e-payments are all new solutions, and we are implementing this together from next month. Now, I want to just share the payments concept now. I want to share the payment gateway idea, what we did there. In that it's now very easy that people can make their payments, you know, and just continue with their business. Here, I do this. If you still see, do you still see my screen? Hello, sirs. Do you still see my screens?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, great. So you see that from this test environment where we have actually implemented the fund account. A broker, apart from just going to trade, also has a button that you can click. And look at my balance now. I have 94,245, and I can go here and say I want to fund my account, and it takes me to Flutterwave, and I can effects a payment. Something I may not have right now. Let me see if I can. There's some test cards because it won't be a live card I want to use. There's some test cards we're given by Sterling Bank's collaboration with Flutterwave on this exercise. And from those test cards, I can use it to effect my payment. Let me just see if I have that information readily. Okay, something here, right. Great. So I think oops. So, yeah. Some test cards, okay, fine. I can say that I'm copying the data that I can use to complete that task. Where is this? Now, so the name of the account displays the email address from the account displays, and I can make my payments in Naira. Say I'm booking 10,000 Naira, and I say pay. Oh, my internet, okay, fine. Sorry, I'm waiting. It should direct me to. Sorry, did I delay anything? Excuse me. Excuse me. Let me repeat this process, please. Okay. Quick. Here in Naira, I want to pay, say 10,000 Naira, and I say pay. So it takes me to where I can provide my card information. We have a test card that we're allocated to us by Sterling Bank and InterSwitch in this direction for this purpose. And we'll just go ahead and offer the dates. And this is, I think it's, let me also confirm the test data allowed for this. Ordinarily, this will be the investor's details on his live card. Okay, right. And I say you should go ahead, pay it. I don't need to save it. Normally what it does is at this point, I think the gateway sends an OTP to the customer, and the OTP must be supplied because it will be shared with you via your phone, and you can actually supply back whatever the OTP is. I'm wondering why, I'm sorry, I'm on their dashboard now, wondering why this is this way. Gosh. Sorry, it really doesn't take any of this time, I'm wondering. Oh, it doesn't take this time. So in short, it's just to validate it and consent me whether it was successful or not successful. And once I'm back to my account, my top up of 10,000 Naira would have just reflected. I don't know why this, but then it just works well. But this is their dashboard with their trial cards, which works just fine. Oops. I think it works just fine. Let me confirm again. Okay. Let me take this information here. Okay. Sorry, 1 minute. Let me just, I'm taking has been deactivated by the merchant. No wonder. Okay. Sorry. This was actually, the information now became useful. Because we've been done with our tests. So I think the test environment has been stopped. That's actually what happened there. But obviously, this is now to be provisioned for life, particularly for the clients whose bank is Sterling Bank that's implementing this directly with Flutterwave. And subsequently, this same dashboard is actually what we're adopting, because that was the test case with Flutterwave for us to achieve the implementation. But that just works fine. That my 10,000 top up would have just added to my balance in there, and I would just be good. So I've added the money, and the effect of that posting, the effect of that transaction is that once it was successful, my journal for posting is not to be repeated by the accounts department, but you will see it in the Zelle journal as coming from Flutterwave and the customer who made the payments. So there's really no other new thing. And of course, because of the record that we also keep, the provider stockbroker keeps with the, with the payment channel, you are able to reconcile all your online payments, and there is nothing that can be fuzzy. You can reconcile all your online payments because you own a dashboard that you use in verifying any or all of the payments that are coming into the solution, that are coming into your bank.
All right, sir. Mr. Amos, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
For us, we wanted to see 3 or 4 things on your application just to support our day-to-day business. One of it was the client onboarding process. The other one was on financials, which is key. I mean, it's the bedrock of a system.
Yeah.
And the other one was the one my colleague asked you, which has to do with investment module. And I think the fourth one for me will speak to the systems, control, compliance, risks, and audit track capabilities. So those are the things we want to see on your application, so that we can see what we can go about with. I don't know if you have covered these 4 things I've mentioned.
In fact, yes. But then, because, yes, all these are just all integrated, and that's exactly what I've been able to put together. More that I may want to share are the effect of journals that may have that interprets all these activities in one point, particularly for the accounts department, how all those things come into one point and how they sit, was just the last of the point I wanted to just share. Because all of these things actually sit on the accounts. All of them sit in the accounts, especially if they had accounting implications.
Oh, all right, thanks. So
That's
basically, those were the theme, because we are running to, we have another
yes.
for 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
so.
let me just share an experience from an activity that might be live of this morning, please.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I would love to do this. Right. Okay, sorry. I'm sure you can see my screen, right? Hello, I'm sure you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great, sirs. So you realize that all these activities, irrespective of where they have happened from and all of that, we have like a central point where all these accounting interactions are consolidating, and they all have references and the appropriate narrations and everything. And as you can see, if there are human beings who are involved, you see them. If there are machine activities, machine activities are also allocated identities. So like in the case of all these, perhaps sometimes it can be very complex to build journals for stockbroking, but it's so easily prepared, and this is done by machine. And at the end of the day, what you may want to look at is that all this that may have transpired from the beginning of the day, the journal is we have about 8 lines, 8 pages that we've seen here. Does it balance out and all of that? All these are all machine handled. And the next are just your internal reconciliations and validations as to what may have happened. What the business of this house is that they are just doing their trades. They are just operating, they're just buying, they're just selling, they're just executing trades. And all those things will consolidate into what happens in the GL for them to flush that into the financial system of activity at the end of the day. And no process here is outstanding by 2:30, like I mentioned earlier on, except your own internal activities. I want to buy this, I want to do this, entertainment, fuel, this, so many other motor office running activities are things that perhaps will make you stay 2:30 or a minute after 2:30. If it was just for capital market, once the market closes, this is auditable. This is actually verifiable with what has happened with the external organizations that also have a role to play with this. So I think in a nutshell, the system is just that gamut of interactions, activity from different parts, and they all plug into the general ledger. And that might just be a summary of my presentation, sirs.
All right, thank you, sir. I don't know, the floor is open for everyone, please. Please, the floor is open for everyone for question, observation, and Felix, are you there? Hello?
We are open for observations, even in written form, extract ideas or anything. We hope we're good.
From my own end, I'm fine.
Okay. All right. Modupe is there. Elijah, are you there? Moses, are you there? Okay, Ogabuki, are you there?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Amos.
Thank you very much, sirs.
Okay. So,
Thank you for your time, sir.
I appreciate you,
one
sir.
of
Thank
the
you so much.
one of the modules that indicated reports.
Yes, sir.
What are the reports that we can generate from those reports?
Okay, now every module has their own reports. The general ledger has a long list of reports, starting from, like I said, daily reports, like a master GL of activity of a whole year, for instance, apart from your financial reports, like the trial balance, which are just the basic trial balance, the balance sheets, or the profit and loss, and a whole lot of other, even archival reports of when a year has been closed. That you may want to look at past records history, and we have account activity report that is meant for the current financial year. We also have account activity reports that is also meant for archived financial periods and the likes. And of course, one thing I might have noted was the end of year. The end of year process is just a task that is under 60 seconds. What matters before the time of doing end of year process, or that is triggering on the end of year process, is just that before that time, we are expected to have done or completed all our reconciliations and be sure that we are good. And we have, of course, printed all our financial reports and the closure, which is also an assignment of the GL admin, that is the head of accounts, is an item. He has to take that responsibility once they are sure the other things have been tidied up, and it's just a click away.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Amos.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amos.
I appreciate you. Thank you so very much, everyone.
I know your capability. I know we'll work together in the past.
And we're still very appreciative, because I know Stanbic Nigeria gave us Stanbic Ghana. We still support Stanbic till today. It's almost 10 years now, and we're happy. And even when we had our issue in the markets, our comeback was just because of market loyalty, and we're good. Or even the NBC, we lost even, and the NBC I showed you today, it came back just barely 3 years ago. An NBC of almost 20 years record, but we lost them for almost 5 years. Well, we lost them for almost 2 years. And they've gone to buy almost like 2 solutions, two software, which they were forced to go and buy when we had our issue. And now they have been back to Integra for almost 2 years, 3 years now. So we've actually been able to get back, and that market loyalty was what actually speak for us. And we just go at that rate, and our support is our core, and we don't give any other thing to that. So we are very appreciative speaking with Cedros.
Okay, that's a very strong comeback. So we internally take a look at this, and again, please leave your door open, because
very well.
Come to ask 1 or 2 questions.
No problem, sir.
And a couple of things we also note that we need to also clarify. We'll come back to you. So thank you so very much. Really appreciate it.
And of course, our foundation, we are very strong. If you can visit innovationbed.org, we are very strong. Programos Foundation has been very strong over the years. And don't forget that we run quite a number of United Nations projects for Nigeria, and we've done more than a decade on that. Even within the time of our inactivity, we're very active. So, and that actually was what is part of the strengths. But please, if you can actually just check innovationbed.org, you'll see what we do on the social corporate responsibility side for the country. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. All right.
Thanks,
have a great day.
Same here.
Look forward to hearing from you again. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.